Hello, I'm Eric Houston, and welcome to In Focus, the new TV show where we go behind the scenes of some of the great public access TV shows made right here at North Metro TV by people just like you. Amateur TV producers who take advantage of our free classes and free portable and studio equipment to make some of the great, unique programs we air right here on Channel 14. This month, we're focusing in on Positive Investigations. Produced by Fran Sorensen, Positive Investigations is one of NMTV's longest-running public access productions. Each month, Fran and her host Joe investigate one of our area's most fascinating people, places, or events and broadcast it right here for everyone to see.
This formation here that they're showing right now, this column of twos, is mostly for just getting from one place to another. Generally, the sergeant stays in the back of the column, calls the directions, and so obviously he has to anticipate the turns long before they get there, or long before he gets there, to call out any moves.
Okay.
So.
Hi, Fran. Thanks for joining us today for the first In Focus.
In Focus.
That's
What is In Focus?
Well, that's a good question. It's the show where we're going behind the scenes of all of our different public access producers' TV shows.
All right.
And we're starting with you.
That's fun.
I think
I'm
so.
glad.
Yeah.
That's
so
great.
Your show's Positive Investigations.
Mm-hmm.
Let me turn the question on you then. What is Positive Investigations?
I investigate everything and everything that is in this world, in this state, in this city, and I turn it around to a positive aspect.
Okay.
And if it's something that is, I feel like the news is all pretty negative, and so there needs to be more positive things going on. And so I will investigate things that are here that people don't know about, events that are here that people don't know about, places that are here that people don't know about, and situations.
And how long you've been doing? Now you're one of our longest-serving public access producers. How long have you been doing Positive Investigations?
Well,
now?
let me get my cane and my since 2003.
Since 2003. Why did you start doing it?
That's an interesting question.
Thank you.
My husband was unable to do a lot of things, and he was getting bored, and then this came up. And we stopped in and said, well, can we take lessons? And they said, yeah. And my husband could talk. He could sell a refrigerator to an Eskimo. I mean, he could talk about anything for any length of time. And people enjoyed talking to him. And so he was my host.
And this was Terry.
And this was Terry.
Viewers at home.
Yep. And he was my host, and he just loved doing it. And basically, he was my host, and I did everything else.
Well, and how did you decide on this as the show? Like, how did you decide, let's go out into the community and investigate these things and kind of report back on them?
I am a square dancer.
Right.
And the square dance group was looking for a show to promote square dancing.
Right.
And so they wanted me to produce Hot Foot Stompers Presents.
Which was a show you also produced for a number of years.
Yes. And so I said I would, but then when I came here, I knew I wasn't going to stick with a square dancing show because it seemed like I was doing it for the club, but for myself, but I knew I'd get bored with it because it was the same thing over and over and over.
And you wanted to do something with a little more variety.
Yep. So when I came in with the idea for the square dancing show, I presented it to the studio and said, I want to do this show, but I want to do two. I want to do 2-hour shows. So, so they kind of, the manager then said, really? Like, two at the same time?
Which even now is unusual. We don't have a lot of people who take on that much.
Yeah, well, and it was keeping Terry busy. It was keeping me busy. It kept me out of trouble, and it kept him out of trouble, and so it was fun.
Were there any other show ideas you had that you didn't end up going with? Like, was there a rival for Positive Investigations before that started going?
No, it really wasn't.
Just like right away, that was the one?
That was just the name of it, and we both read a lot of mystery books, so then we try to figure.
There you go. So since 2003, how many episodes have you done?
172.
That is a lot. Like with the, I mean, we have a lot of, we have a lot of religious programs here that produce weekly, and they're covering church services and things like that. But I feel confident in saying that outside of the religious stuff, you have to have produced the most.
I don't know about that, but
I think it's an accomplishment.
We were kind of taking it as a job. We wanted to make sure a show went out every month, and there was a new show every month, and I deliver to other studios, and they look for it, and
and it gets seen all around the Twin Cities that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Now, you guys kind of came here on a lark, looking for a new hobby, essentially.
Yes.
Had you had any previous TV experience, any previous experience with the camera before you started coming to?
Do you remember the Super 8 cameras?
Yeah, do.
Well, I made three movies with the Super 8. One called Fruit Strip.
Okay.
and something about eating pickles. And something else.
Okay.
And I still have those shows, but I don't have anything to show them on.
So what was Fruit Strip about?
Fruit stripping. It was an animation. It was an animation of different kinds of fruit peeling.
Yeah.
That's about it. It was 25 minutes. The banana was the most sexy.
Well, it certainly has appeal.
Oh yeah.
Yes. And when was this?
This was 1970.
Okay. So it was a while between doing those and doing it. But was it something you always kind of had in the back of your head?
I enjoyed doing it. I did enjoy doing it, and so and I still enjoy doing it. It's the age of the computer that gets me down.
Well, let me ask you: how did you come up with the name Positive Investigations?
It's not negative.
Fair enough.
I really don't know, because we were talking, Terry and I were talking about investigations, and we kind of hemmed and hawed about just having it investigations, and I said, but then we could get into the news media type thing, and I didn't want to do that, so so then I think it just it just came to us one day, and
it's certainly fitting.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, how do you choose? So as we've talked about, it's kind of a different thing every episode. You're investigating something new, some new person, place, or thing in the area that's interesting. How do you decide what to investigate? How do you decide on the topics?
It's a lark. It is. I read the newspapers, and I read the local papers, the metro papers, and I just kind of look around at what's going on, or if I'm somewhere where I found something that nobody knows about, like the sport of bandy.
Yes, you were telling me about this the other day.
Nobody knows what bandy is, and we are national champions here in Roseville, and so that's something that's worth investigating.
So how did bandy? So just to use that as an example, so how did that come to your attention?
I was doing a show on speed skating.
Right.
And there was a bulletin board in the speed skating rink about bandy and about how they won the national championship and everything. And I thought, bandy? What the heck is bandy?
And like you told me, it's kind of like lacrosse, right?
It is like, it's a football-size ice rink.
Right.
Football field ice rink. They're on skates, they hit a ball about this big, and they have no equipment on.
Right.
So it's like kill each other with these little mini sticks. But it's also called Russian hockey, which is, it's very popular in Sweden and Russia and other countries.
Okay. Now, do you have like a file that you keep of like ideas that you want to do someday, or?
Not at all. No? It's a lark.
Just kind of month by month, whatever pops into your head?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's great. Well, it certainly keeps it exciting.
Yes.
Keeps it interesting. And there are some topics, though, that you've covered more than once. Like you've been to the Velodrome a few times.
The Velodrome, I think we made 6 shows there.
Now, why do you keep going back there?
Because they're so nice and they feed us. They are very, very nice. They put up scaffolding for us. They They just are accommodating. They'll run any kind of line we want. They'll even recruit people to help us, and they're just very accommodating.
Okay. Now, are there other things like that that you've covered more than once?
Let me think here. No, I don't think there is. I think that's the only one.
Well, they're lucky.
Well, they're accommodating. Bob Williams is accommodating. He just bends over backward. He's the guy that runs the velodrome and manages it.
And again, for people who are watching and don't know what we're talking about, the velodrome is the big curved bicycle track over at the National Sports Center.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And they race each other in this bowl, and people come from all over the United States to race. Yeah. And I think there's 15 of them in the United States.
Now, what's the favorite topic you've ever covered? What
the velodrome is fun. Yeah. The velodrome is fun. I can't leave that out.
Yeah.
The dog sledding up in Ely was fun, just because it was a challenge to get the shots. I mean, it was interesting. Yeah.
Well, no, I know I've seen that, and that one's really cool, watching the dogs, move through the snow. That
was a very early show, and I'd like to redo that because I know more now, and my cameras wouldn't freeze up because I know better now.
So they froze up the first time you did it?
Shh. You're not supposed to know that.
Tell me about it.
Well, it was about 30 below. And we were on dog sleds, and they were very accommodating. They let us stay there for a weekend, and we had a snowmobile. The man that owned the resort, he had a snowmobile, and he'd run around in front of us so that I could get way ahead of him and then take shots of the dogs coming. And of course, the dogs would always come right to me because I knew the dogs. So there were a lot of shots of them just running over me. But it was cold, and the cameras did freeze. We had to go in a lot. Yeah. And I know better now.
Now, camera work it's not an exact science. Like doing what you do is an exact science, and you're bound to run into problems like that. Are there any, what other kind of, have there ever been other problems like that you can think of, that our viewers might be able to learn from?
The water ski show? That was an interesting one because I really should have had a hood or something over the camera, because when they come around the corner, you get wet. So, shh, don't tell anyone.
That'll be our secret. But I think what we're going to do right now is let's take a break.
Okay.
We'll watch another clip from Positive Investigations, maybe the dog sledding show.
Could be.
And we'll be right back.
I get up, Wolfie. I get up. I get up, Martin. So to keep the line straight, the lead dog has more leverage if they lay down on the ground, because like I said, the bigger dogs are in the back, and if they're moving from one side to the other, if the lead dog is just standing there, they have a hard time controlling them, so they have more leverage if they lay down. So when you're ready to go, you want to say ready, and they know that, and they'll know you're ready to go, so they'll stand up. So you say ready, hike, and give the sled a little push, and they'll go. To slow down, you use the brake, but if you want to stop, you stand on the brake with both feet and say, whoa! You have to say it as a command. A lot of people, say, whoa, and the dogs will just laugh at you, and they don't take it as a command. G is to turn right, ha is to turn left. An easy way to remember is right has a G in it, so you can remember G, ha. If you come to a trail that crosses the trail that you're on, and you want the dogs to continue on straight, tell them on by. There again, you say them as a command. If you're going uphill or going through deep snow, sometimes You might have a dog, if they're having an off day, they might not be pulling, and you can tell because their tug line is kind of slack. You can tell them to hike it up. If you know the dog's name, it helps to say their name. They know that they're the one that's getting in trouble.
And we are still here with producer Fran Sorensen. Fran, so we've been talking about the show and and the topics that you do. Once you've decided on a topic, where do you go from there?
I make sure that I take about 3 hours of footage of the topic, so I have a lot to choose from when I edit. Otherwise, you might get short. It's an hour show,
right.
So I need a lot of footage to find what I need.
But like even before that, like even before you're rolling camera, what do you do to start the process?
I go to wherever I'm going and I meet the people there and tell them what I'm doing and explain what the show would be, and then ask them if they would like that. And usually they're all enthusiastic and want me to come and do that. And so really I go there first, and then I go there again with my host. My host now is Joanne Przinski, and she will talk to him for a while because she needs to know more background for the show. And then we come back a third time with the cameras.
Okay, so you and Joe go and meet the people before bringing the cameras to kind of get some background on what's going on and everything like that. Once you've done that, are you writing up questions, or is it kind of free form because you do a lot of interviews?
Yes, we do interviews, and I tried writing up like a script. I never had to do that with Terry because he's spontaneous.
Yeah.
And Joe is pretty spontaneous, I found out. I thought I needed to write a script, and it was not necessary. She just goes right off the cuff, too. So no script, nothing.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Joe has quite a showbiz history herself,
yes,
right?
Yes, she was a singer, and she was in New York City, and she sang for quite a while until she got married.
Yeah. Now she did some performing in vaudeville.
Yes, she did. Yes, she is excellent. She's an excellent singer, excellent dancer. She still can tap dance. Yeah. She can still...
And just a ball of energy.
Yes, she is.
So what do you do? Is there any other pre-planning that you do, or you just kind of go with the flow?
We go with the flow.
Great.
And I think that might be what makes the show, because people are spontaneous.
Yeah. I think that's a big part of it.
Yes.
And again, it also makes it fun to do, which is the most important thing.
Yes.
Yes. Well, and we may have just answered this question, but what's your favorite thing about doing the show, Fran?
My favorite thing?
What's your favorite thing?
Not the editing. Meeting the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, meeting the people and getting to know them and just kind of finding out what they do and what's going on.
Yeah.
We filmed the Snow Bowl in Ham Lake last year, and I was thinking of doing it, well, no, it was 2 years ago, and I was thinking of doing it again because it's been a couple of years. And then we're waiting for this big monument to sink in the water, and I thought that's different. So, but then we decided not to. Joe says, do I have to walk on ice again? So I said, no, I guess we don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Because I tend to like the cold things, the snow and the ice, and Joe kind of likes to be warm.
Well, you've done a lot. I mean, we talked about the dog sledding thing, and you did the ice shanties, I think, last year. So yeah, I mean, yeah, like Winter Wonderland is kind of a regular part of Positive Investigations.
And then we did a thing on the Vulcans for Winter Carnival.
I need to see that.
That is an interesting show, and the copies of that disappear.
Really?
It's like, I hope it's in the computer somewhere because they just
I don't understand what they are. I'm not from. You know this.
Yes.
But I'm not from here. I'm from Indiana.
Well, no, they just overthrew the Vulcans, and so now spring is here. They just did that last weekend.
See, this is very confusing. If Mr. Spock's not involved, I don't know what's going on.
Did you get a V on your cheek?
No, I don't know what's going on. What's the hardest thing about the show?
The hardest thing? Probably coming up with the ideas.
Yeah.
Probably trying to make it different every time And that's, I keep running into repeats now, and that's why I'm kind of like, let's hold off and see what's going.
You mean, and by repeats, you mean things like we're talking about that you're thinking about redoing?
Yeah. And some things need to be redone. Like the dog sledding one should be redone because the sound on that was horrible. So for their sake at Snowbank Lodge, I should do it for them.
What advice would you have for people who are starting out here, just starting out new producers?
Read all the material that is given to them, and then hands-on is very important.
Just get experience.
Get experience, and don't be afraid to use the camera.
Yeah.
Over and over, don't be afraid to use it and bring it, and because they really are. They can be destroyed. Don't get me wrong, but they're pretty hardy. I mean, they can go through a lot of things, and it's and I can attest to that.
But you're. I mean, it's you gotta learn by doing. And you know, the more that you use the stuff, the more the friendlier you. The
friendlier you are with it. Yes.
And I mean, at this, like, do you have any trouble using the camera these days?
Just battery-wise. I get mad at batteries because they don't seem to go as long as I want them to. Okay. Not necessarily the camera battery, but the little AA batteries, those.
Okay. Now, so what topics are coming up for Positive Investigation?
I knew you were going to ask that, and I'm clueless.
All right. Well, Fran, I want to thank you for joining us today.
Oh.
Those are all the questions I have.
Okay.
I'm sorry. But seriously, thank you for coming. This has been,
You're
I think this has
very
been a great
welcome.
Conversation.
I'm honored to be here.
Well, I'm honored to have you here.
Okay.
And I'll see you soon. And thanks again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, we're standing in front of a bunch of water skiing medals and awards, and we have two illustrious water skiers with us. Jim McCants on my left and Dave Gore on my right. And Jim is going to explain something that I've heard and I can't believe. Jim, you water ski 12 months of the year here in Minnesota.
Yes, we go out at least once a month. We've kind of started this back in 1984. A friend of mine had purchased a brand new water ski boat, and he said, if I'm paying for it, we're using it. So we started to go out and we started to ski every year. First we started with wetsuits and then evolved into the new technology of the dry suits and then some of the other equipment to stay warm. And then now it's just kind of progressed where we just keep going and going. And my friend has dropped out, and now I'm the sole survivor of the once a month group. We've got some other people that have tried that are trying to keep up with me, but it's hard to catch a moving target.
Now, I understand we're on Crooked Lake. It is October, and the water is cool. It's about 55 degrees right now. But I don't quite understand, once the ice forms here in Minnesota, where do you go to find water skiing for open water?
We actually go down to the Mississippi River in downtown St. Paul. There's a nice place called Hidden Falls Park down by the Ford Lock and Dam. And then there's enough turbulence underneath there from the power plant that it keeps the water open year-round. There's a couple times where it's frozen over, where we had to go down to Red Wing. There's another power plant down there, and it's a little farther downstream.
Now, if you're skiing in St. Paul, do the police ever interfere and come down to find out what are you doing?
No, usually they just come down to watch. They've come down a few times and then asked us what we were doing, and then usually they see that the equipment that we have and that most of us are in ski clubs of some sort or tournament skiers or something like that, where we're doing it in a safe manner, and we're wearing all the equipment so we can rescue anybody that would be having a problem. So it's usually we're out on the river and we're helping out anybody else who's having problems out there. So
during our show today, we spoke briefly about Fran's co-producer, host, and husband, Terry. Terry was a dear friend to this station, and we felt his loss deeply. As such, in 2009, as part of our annual awards ceremony, we produced this video as a tribute to our friend during the same year that he and Fran won our Lifetime Achievement Award.
Oh, look at, yes. Is that what you want? Yeah. That's just a caterpillar. Look. Oh. Hi, my name is Terry Sorensen. I am the host of Positive Investigations. This is our first studio video for Positive Investigations. Most of our programs have been in the field. 1999 you graduated, got your master's?
Yes, yeah.
Most of my shoes are older than that.
I'll call it something like this. Then if you want a bugle, you just add a little bit of pressure and you can do all the bugles.
You
should probably give it a try.
No, my hips don't work like that.
A lot of people. This is good. I don't have to talk.
Yes, you do. It's the first time I knew I was the producer-director because she told me that I wasn't. She said I was just the host and to shut up.
Here they are.
Well, I think I just read The Door in the Wall, which was a Madeline, let's see, was it Madeline D'Engle? I know it was a Newbery Award book. Now, you were talking about something that I find exciting. Plants excite me, but mainly in my garden, because I eat them.
I'd like to thank Fran once again for joining us for this first episode of In Focus and giving us a look behind the scenes of Positive Investigations. I also want to thank our terrific crew for helping us out today, and to remind all of you that the crew for every episode of In Focus is made up of students who are participating in our How to Make a TV Show class. That class is free to citizens of Blaine, Centerville, Circle Pines, Ham Lake, Lexington, Lino Lakes, and Spring Lake Park. And if you'd like to sign up, all you have to do is visit northmetrotv.com or call or email me at 763-231-2803 or eric@northmetrotv.com. Again, the class is absolutely free and we'd love to have you. Thank you for joining us for this month's In Focus, and we'll see you next time right here on Channel 14.